Hiya YouTube. That started recording before I was ready for it too. I don't know why that happens, but I am Shaggy. I am Phil Alitea. I am sitting on the patio of a Panera Bread, hypothermic actually, shivering like a son of a bitch. Not because it's actually really nice out. It's not even cold, but I am wet. I got wet on my walk to get weed today. And in getting wet, I am now cold. So I am going to struggle for a moment to get you in a comfortable position for me, because I didn't mean for this to turn on yet. And I want to talk to you simultaneously about two subjects, because I am of the opinion that that is when I'm at my best. But that is going to require that you leave your mind open and just kind of let the flow of my words do their work on you. You just gotta kind of relax and trust me a little bit. And I guess you get to look at the sky today. I'll move a little closer. Anyway, I wanted to come out here and take a cigarette. Yes, I say take a cigarette sometimes. I like to use antique language, and this is about what we're talking about today, because I like to remember my ancestors. I like to remember your ancestors. I like to remember our ancestors and the way they lived, the way they spoke, their worldview, their way of life, what they thought about. I like to remember those things because I think, whether it was a good idea or a bad idea, a religious idea that we should readopt or not, I think the Egyptian idea that so long as we repeat people's names, so long as one person remembers and repeats someone's name, they never died. So at some level, if I'm repeating an idiom, a manner of speaking, a way of life that is dead and gone, it's not really dead and gone, is it? If I'm repeating it and I remember it, not in my mind. And maybe I'm going to turn you around, because maybe I'll get in trouble for smoking. I don't know. But as you can see, it's, not exactly the best view. And I can't just record audio files. So I have two things I want to talk to you about. I want to blend them together. And I want to do it by telling you a story. I was listening to CM Punk interview with Pat McAfee yesterday, and he was a fairly large part of my life, circa 2012, between 2012 and 2015. He was a pretty big part of my life, not because I liked wrestling. In fact, I didn't like wrestling at all. My wife liked it a great deal. And see, my wife came to it from an interesting place, and so I like, first of all, I support my spouse, I support my significant other's interest. I like for my spouse / significant other to have interests outside of me, because that's healthy. But more importantly, I support them and I participate in them, because why would you have a spouse or a significant other if you're going to shelf and closet everything that they do or they're interested in? Why get married? Unless you're trying to enter into some kind of employee-employer relationship where you're employing her in the position of wife. Why bother? But she liked wrestling, and the story behind why she liked wrestling, I think, is pretty cool. After we got married, and she was confident in our relationship, she decided that she wanted to pursue exotic dancing, and I thought that was pretty cool, because I'm a liberal kind of guy. And so I had saved up at the time I'd known her, the time we'd been dating, up until I got married, including buying the ring in the right way. I bought the ring in the right way. Saved up X amount of weeks, whatever I don't remember. I don't care what the formula is anymore, because I'm not likely to ever get married, and I'm very, very unlikely to ever do it romantically ever again. So, whatever the X number of weeks, X percent of your paycheck for X number of weeks goes into the ring, right? That's how much the ring is supposed to cost. So you're supposed to tell her what your future prospects look like. I did it cute. I took her down to the jewelry store. We were just out having a cute date day because I'm a good boyfriend, and I took her out for cute date days every single week. Every single week we went out on a cute date day. So we were just walking around in Silva, a mountain town in the mountains in North Carolina. Actually, in one of their podcasts, the Neebs guys were talking about how cool Bryson City is, and Silva and Bryson City are kind of sister cities. So anyway, we're walking through this quaint town, being cute. And I was like, hey, what if we just ducked into this jewelry store real quick? And I'd already been in there, and I'd already picked out the ring, and I was already paying on it. But I just wanted to see if it was the right ring, because first of all, the lady who worked there, she's a true mensch, true professional, knew exactly what to do, and it was not her idea. But she did ask me if she had picked out the ring, because I was confident I knew exactly which one she would like. And so I brought her in there more to prove to this woman who was selling me the ring that I was a good husband, because it's important that you prove as a man to the women around your wife, whether they know her or don't know her, that you get a reputation for being a good husband and for doing things the right way. Because I thought we were going to stay in Silva. I didn't think we were going to make the move to Asheville. That we ended up did make the move to Asheville out of Silva. So anyway, I treated living in Silva like we were going to be there for the rest of our lives. So I did everything the right way. I did it the way you're supposed to. I became a part of that town, to the point that I still sometimes have people from that town reach out to me. So the point is, I brought her in there, and she picked out the ring that I had already picked out. She was like, oh, that one's my favorite. I really like that one. You're just a cute girl day, doesn't think anything of it. And then I pop out that ring and ask her to marry me. And she's like, oh my God, that was the ring that I liked the most. And you get it. And so I'm listening to CM Punk talk. And as recently as September of 2024, I would have not watched it because it was her thing. It was my ex-wife's thing. Laura was her name. Laura was her name. And CM Punk was her favorite. She liked CM Punk and Sheamus. Those were her favorites. And good for her. But man, she loved CM Punk. And I'm going to be honest, circa 2010 to 2015, I think I said 2012 to 2015, but circa that 5 years, I thought he was a tool. I thought he was a douche. I thought he was mouthy, and that way I understood why she liked him, because he and I are not dissimilar people, except I'm not punk, I'm metal, and as a metalhead, and a person who identified as a metalhead, and who wanted very much to be recognized and to exist in the community of other metalheads, I thought punks were try-hard douchebags, frankly. Still kind of think punks are try-hard douchebags. But, biases are what biases are, right? So you might be a punk and you might not be a try-hard douchebag, but I'm watching him on Pat McAfee, and it occurs to me that I would have avoided re-engaging with him and seeing whether I was right about him in my judgmental stance, right? He was a man that my wife liked, so of course I don't like him, right, a priori, because he's someone that my wife likes. That's just how we all are, right? That's why when you have like a particular celebrity crush, you have to make them like the one person that your significant other's not allowed to be jealous about, right? It's just how that works. And I had no problem submitting to it, none at all. Like, I couldn't dislike Sheamus, right? I had to pick one, and it was CM Punk. And still can't dislike Sheamus, but I don't like, even when I see Sheamus around, I don't dislike him. I like the guy. I liked watching him wrestle. I enjoyed him in that WrestleMania that I took her to. I took her to a B-dubs to watch a WrestleMania, the pay-per-view thing, and she got up and was hanging out with the other dudes and chicks that were there and really excited about it. It was actually a really good time. I watched John Cena. I got to watch John Cena and The Rock duke it out. It was pretty cool. It's fun. It's a legitimately fun experience to do with other people, and that's why I encouraged her to have it. But while I was watching CM Punk talk, this isn't about CM Punk. It is. It's going to be. But to open, I was thinking about that behavior and where that behavior comes from. The not liking the things that your ex-wife or your ex-girlfriends or ex-friends or avoiding these things, where it comes from. And it wasn't, for me, it wasn't about avoiding the memories. Because I don't have bad memories. I don't have bitterness or anger. It's about abusive girlfriends. It's about that jealousy that you're not allowed to have exes. You're not allowed to have ex-girlfriends, ex-wives as your exception, like with celebrities. And so girls from middle school on teach boys to curse the memories of their girlfriends. And so what they with the idea that that the girl is fixing her boyfriend. And I listen to so many of these songs where guys are talking about, like, I thought you would be the one to save me. And it's like, save me from what? And it seems to be save me from the women that I'm attracted to. And so the betrayal there, and betrayal leads to ego death, and all of this matters because I've had so many betrayals in relationships. This is what we're talking about, and why I wouldn't want to think about it. Well, you don't think about it because what girlfriends don't want you doing is comparing you backward to them. Like, am I attracted to you because you do the same bad behaviors? Because what we're actually attracted to people to, what we're attracted to people by, there we go, there's the preposition that I wanted. What we're actually attracted to people by is their bad behavior. This is readily apparent to me. Just in the music that you listen to. What you're attracted to is people treating you badly, which means that you had an abusive parent, which means that parenting is abusive as a blanket statement, which means that the harder that we've tried to get it right, especially in poor non-white communities, by having the government step in and by having teachers get in between parents and kids, all we've done is make everything so much worse. So much worse. Not just destroying the family unit, but destroying the minds of potential adults to engage in family units. And one of the ways we do this is by not paying attention to our past mistakes, not analyzing ourselves, and then blaming something on things that go wrong, so that we just continue to live these narrative cycles. And so one of the things that I've been practicing and I've been thinking about and meditating on deeply the last 4 months is a lot of my distraction, a lot of my sleep problems, my insomnia, a lot of my inability to focus when I'm writing or when I'm talking into the microphone or when I'm trying to make short videos is because I get distracted thinking about what ex-girlfriends would say about what I'm saying, because it might be, or it might not even, it might not actually be about, it might be about them in their minds. They might come to the conclusion that I'm talking about them. And so I have a lot of stress and I have a lot of trauma actually around censoring myself, saying things in a particular way, or making sure that I qualify who exactly I'm talking about. And so what that means is that I've been really tearing down and attacking in a major way my habitual self-censorship to thinking about my exes in a positive way. And so my most recent ex and my most abusive ex became almost in opposition, almost to annoy me, a Bears and Seahawks fan. And there are properties besides the NFL, but the NFL has been very difficult for me to engage with until these playoffs. And now that the playoffs are over and the Bears are going to be constantly in the news because of the new coaching hire, there was an inclination to avoid it, to stay away. But I wondered if maybe in that same way that remembering someone's name means that they're not really dead is about their best moments. That the best moments, if they're still alive, then their potential is still alive, and the best of them is still with us. And as a person who's lived in abuse his whole life, I can tell you that it's not all bad. In fact, most of it's good. Most times are good. And you grow to care about your abuser, especially when you're a post-abuse intellectual genius, and you're able to know where their abuse comes from, and so you think you can fix or save them from their own stupid behavior. And so on some level, they feel betrayed by you that you weren't able to fix them. And so we're in that song place. But so what that means is that on some level, if we remember our exes and we remember the things that maybe we would prefer to avoid, we can enjoy those things that we used to do with them or that we associate with them on two levels. Because on some level, we're still with them in the good times. While we're doing it, we can still have those good times, and they don't have to lead inevitably to the end of the story, because I don't have to frame everything like I'm telling the story all the time. That is unhealthy. But it was the only way that I was able to practice. You have to understand that I've wanted to do this since I was a small child. And that my poverty prevents me. My poverty, not just in wealth, but in connections and friends and family members. And so I'm listening to CM Punk, and I remember at some point saying to myself, I'm surprised this guy never grew out of these personality quirks. I'm surprised that he's never looked himself in the mirror and gone, maybe that's why you struggle in the ways you do. But then I realized that a lot of why he struggles, for instance, why I didn't realize he took a decade hiatus from the WWE, but a large part of why he took that hiatus, was forced into that hiatus, is because of creative integrity. He has creative integrity over his personality. Like he said, if it's true, and I don't know why it wouldn't be, that he's the greatest wrestler of all time, and his fans seem to really believe that, why wouldn't he stick to that creative integrity? You know, I talk so much about Jerry Jones and his inflexibility, his inability to change his approach. But these are different kinds of people. Jerry Jones isn't a creative. He's not an athlete. You know, on the same token, Myles Garrett is changing his approach. And so that's what I wanted to talk about. That's what I wanted to say. I wanted to say that I'm allowed to still love those women from afar, and I'm allowed to still have pleasant memories of them. You don't have to destroy everything. And on some level, I'm learning how to do this, and I'm learning about this from this Ghosts of the Middle Ages book. Which might mean that I'm ready to get back to work. Because I haven't been able to focus. I've been so angry. I'm so fucking angry. So I reached out to my dad. I'm fucking angry. And this is what I did. And he goes, well, it only makes sense that you would feel that way and that you would react that way. They're ignorant. You are not. True knowledge sets you free. The truth shall set you free. So on some level, I'm taking that behavior, that trying to save these women behavior, and I'm pushing it out into the wider universe. And the only people who are attracted to it are people who want to abuse it, who know they can get away with not changing for the attention. said everything I wanted to say. I wanted to talk about, and I wanted to see what happened when I said out loud, and I thought about it out loud because I listen to myself when I talk, and I wanted to demonstrate that. Hearing myself say something that I know might be internally inconsistent, to see if my initial and my automatic response is to insist that it is internally consistent without examining it. And the only way I'll know whether I did that is to watch it back myself. That's the only way I can come to my own conclusion. But the only way that I can actually come to a conscious conclusion is with 2 or more people listening and commenting. So this is when I give you that call to action to hit me up in the comments. Have I contradicted myself? I'm allowed to admire CM Punk and memory of a dead relationship. And I'm allowed to make memoria of dead relationships, because a dead relationship is a dead person. 2 dead people. They're dead to you, and your ego has died, so you're a different person who's then dead to them. That's just how that works. I was listening to one of the members of Dream Theater talking about Mike Portnoy coming back to the band after a 10-year hiatus, and how all they really did was hug and then get right back to work. That they had so much to work through, but the way they worked through it was by hugging it out, because brotherhood matters more. I've been thinking a lot about the word paesano. The Italian word, it's actually a Sicilian word, paesano. And the reason I've been thinking about it is because I recently heard it used incorrectly. But people think non-Sicilian Americans, because it's actually a Sicilian American word. It's not a word that native Sicilians use very much, for a very specific reason. Americans who aren't Sicilian American but have heard the word used have been told that it means my brother. It means brother. But in Sicily, it means more like countryman. Brother by another mother. We're brothers because we're united by a shared ancestry. But paesano also comes with a defense pact. You defend your brother at all costs. And I hear that damn train song, Drops of Jupiter, all the time. What's he say? I was so afraid that she would think of me as a plane or a train or something. A man who was too afraid to fly, so he never did land. And then he has that list of great moments that'll make you think of a person that you love. You know, the best soy latte that you ever had. He says that feeling that your best friend's always going to stick up for you, even when I know you're wrong. Even when I know you're wrong. That's brotherhood. And that is what's missing in this world. Because the home has been undermined, because the local community has been undermined, no one likes hearing it, but because you're a voluntary slave, a serf, an indentured servant of a corporation, not even a real person, a corporation. You have to surrender so much. still no one has asked me why I'm homeless. I've had to surrender a lot. I've had to surrender a lot to be who I am. In large part in comfort. Comfort and security. But in making myself the least of us, because I am the greatest of us, I show you just how small you really are, and it scares you. It scares you. Because if it all came down tomorrow, what would you do? You know, I used to think about that. Around the same time that I was watching her be in love with CM Punk, I was thinking, what am I going to do? How am I going to protect her if this all comes crashing down? How? Marlboro is not a sponsor. I just don't care. You have to understand, I'm so casual, I'm unconcerned. I'm just unconcerned. You know, you want to hear about people that don't sweat the small shit? I don't sweat the small shit. To the point that I've actually fasted the last 4 days. Fasted in the context that I haven't had hot food. 2 of those days, the first and today, I could have made it down to Christ's table. I just chose to fast instead. Because there's a certain amount of choosing to suffer that reminds us of how comfortable our comfort really is. So, taking on small sufferings also remind us of how great small pleasures are. But I'm a different kind of person in that regard, aren't I? I remind myself every few days not every few days, every few weeks. It was every few days earlier this year, but every few weeks I remind myself to listen to that song, Simple Man. By that band, Lynyrd Skynyrd. Because that song has an epilogue, whether we like it or not. It is that the author, the writer of those lyrics, Mama reminding him to be a simple man, wasn't a simple man, and did not die in a simple way. So that's what I think about while I listen to that song. Or when I choose to turn on and listen to that song, Turn the Page. I can't remember the original artist. Can't think of his name right now. Turn the Page. There are so many other things I would rather be doing. Creative, important things that will matter to the future. But it just doesn't feel like the future much cares. The present certainly doesn't. I'm just constantly struck. I'm sitting here right now being struck by how few people realize that many of history's wars never really ended. The war that, let's say, culminated at Thermopylae between Greece and the Persians, still ongoing. The dynastic wars between France and England, still ongoing. The War of 1812 and the Opium Wars, still ongoing. I think today that the person I'm really angry with, the people I'm most disgusted by, filled with the most righteous anger toward, are historians. Historians as a class of people, I think, have got my ire up. At some point in the 20th century, historians decided that although they were the closest academics to the halls of power, it was not their responsibility to remind the halls of power of the cyclical nature of history. And so on some level, I am betrayed to learn that the people who would be my heroes, historians, are in fact cowards. Cowards in the ancient context, too, who run from conflict. You would think that they would have learned from the texts that they read. Historians who are owned by important political figures who then compromise the history that they write down. Except ironically, so I want to know, where is the Cultural Revolution? Where is it? Why? Why is there no pushback at all? Take care. Remember that I am Shaggy. I am Phil Alitea. I am homeless. I am a public religious. And if I've ever said anything that you like, please keep me in mind when you're in your Cash App, your Venmo, your PayPal. When you want to read, keep me in mind. I'll be thinking about you. Can't quit you as much as I want to.